Many of Europe's classic circuits, our host this week has seemingly been around since the dawn of motorsport. Buried in the Ardennes forest and designed to incorporate the roads linking Malmedy, Stavel, and Francorchamps, this throwback to a wilder, much more unsafe time has by necessity had to change much over the years. No longer the 9.5, then 8.7 mile monster that once included the turn Sir Jackie Stewart called the most difficult corner in the world, Spa-Francorchamps has said goodbye to the Mazda kink, but today's 4.3 mile, 20 turn circuit is still home to Eau Rouge, where F1 drivers consider it a challenge to go flat out. Welcome everyone to round 2 of the brand new Race Anywhere Transatlantic Championship, powered by Sim3D, right here on Absolute Sim Racing. This week we traveled to the home of the Belgian Grand Prix since 1925, Spa-Francorchamps. I'm Greg Ginsberg, and along with Daniel Hanover joining me in the commentary box, we'll be bringing you the best in GT3 action from some of the world's most storied and challenging circuits, just like Spa. 2 weeks ago, our drivers kicked off their season under the lights at Daytona, and after 75 minutes duking it out, the fight came down to the very last lap, with our podium separated by less than half a second. So tonight, Daniel, there are challenges aplenty here. Besides having to come to grips with Spa's 4 miles of asphalt, our drivers, they've had to quickly get up to speed with some major changes that iRacing implemented in the last week, and depending on how much practice they've been able to put in, our drivers, they might find themselves behind the wheels of very different cars than what they drove at Daytona.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again. Thank you very much for tuning in. 100%. You've got a very different, possibly a very different machine. We've been speaking with a couple of the drivers tonight, and we know that the McLaren is significantly different.
Yes.
And they've actually removed some of the, I believe we were speaking with Sean Campbell, and he said they've removed some of the twitchiness, essentially, which was actually one of the things that made the McLaren fast. So they've removed that, which is a little bit interesting. We'll have to see how that plays out later on in the event itself, and actually later on in the season. I really, do you know what? The new time model as well, they've made some updates to the time model. There's significant updates here. So,
yes.
in a way, obviously, and again, we do apologize for the issues that we had last week. Again, that was unfortunately out of our control, and it was something that we couldn't actually do much about. But I think, in a way, may have been a bit of a possibly
a blessing, maybe, yeah.
Exactly, a blessing in disguise, because it's given opportunities. With this latest update, people are actually they're not as far in the championship, so they've got a bit more time to actually get used to these cars, I suppose, now that they've been updated.
Yeah, without a doubt, Daniel. Some of these cars have had weight changes. Most of them have had some aero changes to them. As you mentioned, there was a big change in the tire model as far as what it takes to get the cars up to temp. When do they fall off? What does it take to bring the tires back after they do fall off a little bit? And we've found that some of the drivers have had to make drastic changes to the setups that they had originally intended to use at Spa. And I think we're going to find that for most of the tracks as well. And so perhaps having that extra week of time to do test and tune to see what the car is going to do on short runs, on long runs here at Spa, and maybe at some of the other tracks that we're going to see on the schedule. I think they did some testing at Watkins Glen, which is our next stop in the championship. That's given them the opportunity to really get a better grip on what these cars can do and will do. With these rather major changes and pretty much across the entire GT3 field.
Yeah, I think you've got to take into consideration as well, as you say, what they can do and what they will do, two very different things. And you may find now that a car that someone enjoyed initially, they may not necessarily enjoy as much anymore. So you've really got to make that. Well, I mean, to be fair, you haven't really got a choice. You've just got to, as improvise, adapt, overcome, as a famous person in the UK said. You've really got to make sure that you're not. Well, you're not sleeping too much. You've got to be on the ball, and you've got to make sure, especially with a grid that is this big and this competitive.
Yes.
You just haven't got an opportunity to rest. You have to hit the ground running, even with these updates. So, not only are we seeing battles on track, and also some battles when we're on track in terms of from a mental capacity, and people like trying to play mind, playing mind games on one another. We're also seeing that as well, even off track, because it can actually be quite demoralizing if a big update has been changed or a big update has been made and you're not quite there with where you think you should be. It's a very, very demoralizing feeling.
Yeah, without a doubt, when we have these fields across, close to 60 entries in the series here, and with a few exceptions, many entries of each and every car type, many of the Lamborghinis, many of the BMWs, many of the Mercedes, a good number of the McLarens, only one or two of the Ferraris, only one or two of the Ford GTs. But if you are the one driver that does not, in your category that does not get up to speed, it can certainly help you. Of course, these drivers, they do have the ability over the course of this 10-race season to drop one of their races. This may be the one that they drop. We'll have to see. Depending on how much these drivers feel that they're on equal footing. Now, one of the things I also mention here is that there's been one other minor change in the GT3 field here in iRacing. There was a change made, essentially a new car added to the GT3 field, and that was the Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo. The older version of the 488 still available, still can be used. I believe we only had a single driver in the championship that was running the Ferrari, and that was Nicholas Belmont. And I believe he has moved over to that new chassis, to that GT3 Evo. So, he'd be starting from scratch regardless in trying to get the setup. But it'll be interesting to see tonight how that new chassis measures up against the rest of the GT3 field.
100%. We know that the Ferrari has got a good amount of pace, especially with the updates that's been made. It's slightly wider. It's got a little bit more power. It will handle a bit differently as well. Ultimately, it is the same car. It's for those of you who aren't quite sure, an Evo model. It's the Evolution model. It's similar to what you find in what BMW have. They have the LCI, the Life Cycle Initiative. A lot of companies have that now, but it's the Evolution. Lamborghini have got one now. Obviously not out actually in the game, but Lamborghini have got one. You've got obviously Mercedes have got one with their AMG. The Evolution models are now, they're just a little bit faster, a little bit better to drive, a little bit easier, software updates. Minor changes, but enough to denote it as to be an updated model, shall we say? Because this is the other thing, isn't it, Greg? Where in the real world motorsport, of course, there's constant updates happening, but don't necessarily denote enough of a change to be classed as a new car or an evolution. But motorsport constantly evolves, and people are constantly, and teams are constantly trying new things, and they're trying to adapt.
Yes, they certainly are, and certainly each one of these manufacturers have, not so much in the virtual world, of course, but in the real world, have a lot to gain by continuing to maximize the different platforms that they have, and of course, iRacing trying to emulate and virtualize what we see in the real world as much as possible, is bringing those new platforms to the platform, to the iRacing platform as well. So we've got just about 2 minutes remaining in this pre-race practice. Some of you, if you're just joining us for the very first time, first off, thank you for joining. And if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and subscribe to that Absolute Sim Racing YouTube channel. Click on the notification bell so you can find out about all the great motorsports offerings that we have here on ASR. But the format here is no qualifying before each race. We set the grid for each and every event based on the finishing order across our 3 different categories from the previous round. And what we do is we go and invert the field by category based on how the race concluded. And so what you'll see here, as we will have in just a few moments, our Pro-Am, and amateur classes or amateur categories line up on the grid for their start. They will be, each one of those classes, in the inverted order based on how they finished 2 weeks ago at Daytona International Raceway.
Yes, indeed. We're just going to bring up the standings for you in a few moments. Let us have a look and see what is it stacking up. This is the pro, Sean Campbell, with Texans Fitzy Motorsport, currently with 100 points. PJ Sergios in 90 with 95. Justin Brunner in 3rd place with INX Racing with 90 points. That's the top three. It's looking very, very close. Obviously, we only have been through this first round. We're going to have to see how this all stacks up in the next round as well. Moving forward into Pro-Am, top three currently being led by Lyden Lee in the Verve Racing team with 100 points. Daniel Tenorio taking home P2 last time out at round 1 with 95. Then we've got Andrew Rasmussen with a racing with 90 points. So that is your top three for Pro-Am. And then if we go to the AM category as well, Carl Hertzlitsky in Boatman Racing with 100 points. Eric Kalaga was actually changed, so he is now racing in the AM category with 95 points. And that is Jay Steffi in P3 for Gt3 Sim Sports. There we go, just about to go through, ready for the grid. Oh, I am excited to say the least.
Yes, absolutely. And so when we go and we run down the grid, as I mentioned, we will be inverting the order. You'll notice, for example, as we're looking at the current point standings in the AM category, there are a couple of drivers there down at the bottom that were not with us at Daytona, for example, and they're showing as having 0 points. They will start at the tail end of each one of the categories as we have our drivers now lining up, getting ready for the start of the race here. And let's start off with our pro category and your pole sitter. It is going to be Sean Ryan driving the number 9 BMW with Nathan Olson in the number 39 Lamborghini starting right beside him in the Team Olson machine. Then row number 2, we've got Isaac Snyder and Jackson Stewart, the number 31 Porsche lining up right next to the 65 Porsche. Row number 3, Alex Treber in the number 50 F1 FTR Esports Mercedes with Dave Menino in the number 43 McLaren. We'll see how he does tonight in that McLaren in the SRT Esport machine. Then we've got Ryan Kaprowski and Harry Wills making up row number 4. Row number 5, Justin Brunner and PJ Sturgios, Sean Campbell in the number 26 machine. He was, I believe, our winner 2 weeks ago at Daytona. Took the win again by half a second after 75 minutes. He will start on the rear of the field in Pro Class along with Calvin Dent, who was not with us 2 weeks ago. In the Pro-Am category, Andrew Hewson will start on the pole in the Twisted Motorsports Lamborghini. Then we've got John Cooper in the Turnburn Moto Lamborghini starting right next to him. Casey Metzger also in a Lamborghini right next to him with Mark Sigelkow starting in 4th. Then James Costa, Joey Stats, and you can see the rest of the field there. As we have our Pro Class, we'll jump over really quickly to the AMs with Dan Floria, or probably Sam Lackey, I believe, is going to be your pole sitter with Mark Scott, John Casey, Andrew Hewitt, Ken Soska, Dan Neubauer making up the field. As our pro category is going to be going around La Source here in just a moment, going around that final hairpin and then making that run down towards Eau Rouge. When they come around the corner here and start the run down, they are going to come across, and when they come out of the curbing there, we've got the start zone, and now they are underway and jumping to a very quick start here at the front of the field is Sean Ryan in that white number 9 BMW with the Lamborghini of Olson very closely behind. Then Isaac Snyder and Sterrett, the whole field here gets through Eau Rouge safely, all in a row, all straightened out here as they start to make their way down the very long run down the Kemmel Straight towards Lacombe, and already a couple cars side by side there. It looks like Isaac Snyder trying to make his way around Jackson Sterrett as they go into Lacombe now. Let's jump back to the Pro-Am field, who should be now looks like they should be underway. Andrew Houghton in his Lamborghini has gotten the jump with John Cooper in the Lamborghini running in second in the number 18 machine. Ooh, and we have a number of drivers that have gone off here up at Radion.
Oh no, what's going to happen there? Because we've got the GT3 field coming through now. They've got to take it nice and easy. I think pretty much, well, most people, we had a couple of people, I think it may have been the leader as well, that got caught up. Oh my goodness. I mean, that we're going to have to, there's going to be a replay to look at here while the dust settles. Then we'll be able to get that replay for you. But again, at the moment, still battling going through in the GT, in the AM field, bear in mind. So that's Ken Soska just losing out on a position by the looks. Again, a couple of cars still sort of like fielding out quite slow through the grid. I wonder if Kolska's got some damage to the engine possibly, because he's going very, very slow at this moment in time. We're going to have to see how that all debates. This is Very, very interesting stuff. And you know what? I think...
Yeah, let's see if we can get back to it. I'll tell you, it looks like Sam Lackey and Jay Steffi had some issues there to start off the race. Lackey, who had started off on the front row, fell all the way to the back of the field. So he may have been dealing with cold tires on that very first corner there in the AM category.
Yellow flag.
Yep, and so we've gone to now a full course caution as we are trying to get the field back under control here, as our leader overall and in the pro class, that is Sean Ryan in the number 9 BMW, brings the field now onto the front straight. Actually, we'll call it the front straight, because we're actually going to have the finish line there coming out of the final chicane. Let's take a look now at that AM start and see exactly what happened.
Well, I mean, Metzger, obviously, that's a big impact there as well, and it just all goes wrong from there on. I mean, we're talking several cars. You've got Andrew Rasmussenov, you've got Casey, obviously, Metzger, Joseph Smith, Frederick Lavoie, so many different people, Blake Scott as well, Andrew Rasmussen again, Brent Bravata. So many people were involved. Let's have a look at it from Brent Bravata's side, because he would have got collected near the end. Going on board, I mean, at this point, you're completely blind. See a puff of smoke, and at this point, you just have to absolutely guess. And, I mean, if anything, that could have been a hell of a lot worse for Brent Bravata. Manages to maintain... with minimal damage. Unfortunately, a few other people were not so lucky. Let's have a look at Frederick Lavoie at the moment. This is going to be a big impact for the number 33.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the challenges that you have there going up the hill, it is very much blind, as you have not crested over the top of the hill yet, and so you can't necessarily see all of the cars that may be askew there. There's not a lot of room to the left, not a lot of room to the right, and certainly only a thin strip of grass just off the track surface their drivers left, and so very difficult to be able to avoid and make it through a mess like that without any kind of an impact there. And it looks like Brent Bravata and a number of other drivers as well, unfortunately, with really nowhere to go. And so we do have a number of drivers that did take to the pits to try and get the cars repaired. And as you can see here, we do have the field now behind the safety car, as we've got Ryan, Olsen, Snyder, and Start, your top 4 in the pro category. In the Pro-Am, Andrew Hewson in his Lamborghini now is your leader, with John Cooper running second. Mark Sigelkow made up a position on the start. He is running in third, with Joey Stats in the Ford GT making up 2 positions. He's currently running fourth in Pro-Am, with Zach Gregory in his Lamborghini running 5th. And then if we take a look at the AM category, it is Mark Scott currently your leader in the AM category, who made up a number of positions. He's actually got 2 Pro-Am cars separating himself from John Casey. Casey sitting in the Porsche, running second currently. Casey made up 7 positions there on that exchange. Andrew Hewitt is up now in third, so he's made his way pretty much from the back of the pack, also made up 7 positions. And then Drew Neubauer running in fourth. And this was also one of those things at play, Daniel, when we do the inversion of the field. Is obviously you've got the drivers that perhaps didn't have the best outings at Daytona a couple weeks ago, that they're going to be doing everything they can while they're on cold tires to start this race to try to hold off those theoretically faster drivers from marching their way through the field. And again, now that we've had these changes in iRacing and changes to basically how the tires on almost all of these cars come up the temperature, I think it is kind of an unknown how what would happen here when the drivers got on the throttle right out of the gate.
Yeah, I think it's an unknown to a certain degree, but at the same time, you've got to pick your battles. You've got to make sure that you are in a position. Do you know what? I think we're almost about to possibly... No, the safety car is still there. I thought the safety car was coming in this lap, but it seems to be, while the lights are off...
The lights are out, yep.
I wonder when it's going to come off, because at this moment in time, there's nowhere for it to go unless the pit stop... No, it is. So this is the another lap. We are going to be going through another lap, and this will indicate that we have got one more lap under this safety car left. So we're probably going to be going back to racing pace at around about sort of the 11-minute mark, I would imagine. Gives people another opportunity to jump in the pits and repair if they need to. Yeah, you've got to pick your battles at the same time. It is cold tyres. Yeah, it's tricky because Eau Rouge, I mean, you know, you're going through straight down the hill after La Source and down into what is, as you say, a blind right-left. You know, you have absolutely no vision at all, and you have to rely on the car in front to give you an indication of what's going on. You can't look far ahead, because if you look for any further ahead than the car in front of you, you'd look at sky and tree line. So, you know, you do have to put that faith. And unfortunately, again, it's just one of those things. The incidents do happen, can't be helped. But at the same time, though, it's nice to see that obviously this yellow flag has been waved, giving everyone an opportunity to bunch the field back up. And this has actually given us a great opportunity to have another great restart with everyone nice and close and all bunched up.
Yeah, and so as we have, we're on this pace or safety car lap here, should be the last lap before we go back to green flag racing. Real quick, Daniel, let's talk very quickly about our great driver championship title sponsor here. That is Race Anywhere. They only exist because many sim racers have been left disappointed, upset, and frustrated by their suppliers. They are sim racers, and they know sim racers deserve more than that. So Race Anywhere was founded with one goal: to deliver a better customer experience for the sim racing community, offering products from Pro Sim Rig. They've got rig accessories, wheels, pedal sets, and a whole lot more. And Race Anywhere, most importantly, they do ship globally. So to find out more about their great offerings, head on over to raceanywhere.co.uk. And we're definitely happy to have them on board as our title sponsor here. I was actually just checking out their offerings last week as I'm getting my new sim rig up and running over here, and you know, some great specials. And you know, since they ship to the U.S., I definitely recommend that you check them out.
Absolutely, same here. You know, like I said, they know their stuff, they know what they're talking about, and as well, you know, they're able to actually, you know, as you say, the knowledge is a very, you know, is a very powerful thing. Knowledge is a very powerful thing, and when you've got a brand such as that, which give you the confidence to know that what you're buying is actually what they genuinely would recommend, and generally they do race for themselves, it gives you that little bit more peace of mind, doesn't it?
Exactly. All right. So as we're watching the field come through here, since we've got his name there down at the bottom of the screen there, and Matt Alvis, he's got his definitely not his better half, because God knows I'll get myself in a lot of trouble when I say this. Wanted to congratulate Matt. Actually, he got married to his at the time his beautiful fiance Sean. They got married last week, and want to congratulate he and his lovely bride. And I think probably the best wedding gift he can give her, well, maybe not the best wedding gift he can give her, would be for a win tonight. So we'll see how Matt does. Matt's currently now running after he's currently running, I believe, 15th. In the Pro-Am category, definitely looking to make his way up to a very strong, very large field in Pro-Am.
Absolutely, but yeah, as you say, you know, big congratulations to both Matthew and his better half. Absolutely fantastic stuff. What we like to see, and yeah, it's nice to have people. It's nice, you know, people getting involved, and us being able to also as well give people those shout outs on the stream as well. So very big congratulations indeed. So realistically, we're going to be going live in a few moments time, and I believe we are going to be going on green flag in a few moments. As we can see, there is no safety car in front of Sean Ryan at this moment in time. This is going to be another restart. It's actually going to be a more tricky restart, because bear in mind, you've got all of the cars now. There's no splits. There is absolutely no splits, including from the Pro to Pro-Am to Am. So it is very much starting position, the starting grid. They can go whenever. Yellow flags have just gone off. You can see green flag is back again. Someone got caught napping. I think that was Alex Treber that got caught napping a little bit. Oh my goodness,
look at that move.
PJ Sturgios, wowzers, that was very brave. Let's keep an eye on this though, because we've got to make sure everyone goes through nice and cleanly at this moment in time. And I think, do you know what, Toucher, I'm not going to say anything yet, because not everyone...
Don't say it yet.
No, I'm not going to say it.
We've still got another 20 cars to go through.
I know, let's not say anything just yet. But at the finals of the bit, I think we are all in the position where everyone has gone through. Yep, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. I think actually someone went off, but they did it before I said that. Ryan Kaprowski is having a good old battle with Dave Menino at the moment. McLaren versus Audi, and I think it's going to be Dave Menino that takes it out on top. Harry Wills is not too far behind. Let's just have a quick, make sure we do not forget about that Mercedes, the number 95, pressuring at this moment in time, pressuring hard as well. This is what we wanted. Well, this is the battles that we sort of wanted. This is exactly what we want. Plus, as well, you've got the Pro-Ams, the AMs, everyone all involved at the same time. Let's just have a quick look as well. If we have a look from a blimp cam, which we're going to get up in a second, it's just a single train of cars. It stretches for what seems to be absolutely miles, which again is great for us because we get to observe some more racing.
Exactly, and great for us because we've got a 4.3-mile track, and nose to tail, they almost make their way all the way around. Now we did see there on the restart PJ Sturgis with that absolutely amazing move that he made on the run over towards Eau Rouge. Sturgis finished second at Daytona 2 weeks ago in his BMW, and has already made up 5 positions here, and he was still cutting through traffic as they made the run down the Campbell Straight. So let's jump back here as we're on board right now with Tyler Campbell in the number 6 Porsche 911, and he's got both Taylor Lane and in his Lamborghini, and just ahead of him Wilson Brewer in the number 62 Audi. But we can add a couple more drivers there. We've got Zach Gregory. Ooh, look at that! And looks like coming through the final chicane there, the Ford GT not getting a good exit there. That is Joey Stats. It was a good run there. He's going to drop a couple positions now as they come through a source.
Yeah, he dropped a couple of positions, might even drop one more. We know the Ford. While it is a slightly older car, it's the oldest car in this GT3 field. It's by no means a we saw it last time out as well in the Racing World Series as well. It's not an uncompetitive car by any stretch of the imagination. We're seeing that again. It's a very competitive car, getting stuck in with the big boys, with its younger brothers, because at the moment it's running in P6 in the Pro-Am category. Oh, that's a bit of a lunge. Is that a bit of a late lunge? It might not be. Wilson Brewer, hats off to you, sir. What a stop that was. Fair play, managed to get it stopped, managed to get it all sorted in time. That was someone that's gone off. I wonder who that was. I'm trying to think. Someone definitely got a little bit involved. I think it was Mark Sigelkow there that just got a little bit caught up there. But there we go. Jerry Stats round the outside. Oh, it's all going a bit wrong. It's 3 cars don't fit in one space, unfortunately, chaps. Keep it nice and clean. Oh, that was a bit close.
That was very close. All right, so as we the watch now there, let's go take a look here at Casey Metzger, driver of the number 3 machine. It looks like we might have caught him maybe a little bit late there. He obviously had some issues. He's pulling into the very long pit lane here, severely off pace.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. There's got a few people going wide again as well. Obviously, must have been caught up in an earlier incident. So yeah, that's him going to the pits, and that will be him serving what is going to be. It's going to feel like an eternity for him, realistically. Back at the front of the field in the pro category, we have a battle for P3 raging on quite considerably here. As we got through, that was a slow car on the right-hand side, managing, I think, just to get out of the way and just let everyone pass through. Jackson Starrett currently sitting in P4, only 3/10 ahead, or 3/10 behind Isaac Snyder, and 3/10 ahead of PJ Sturgis. And let's keep an eye on that battle through there. A little bit further down, though, this is going to be one to look out for. Ryan Kaprowski, Harry Wills, Sean Campbell as well. Who's going to come out on top going through? We've got Harry Wills trying to go on the outside. Look at Sean Campbell, though, slipping up the inside. Thank you very much, he goes. Is it going to be a drag race? No, he can't, because Sean Campbell can't quite get the run. This is one of the people we were chatting to earlier on. He was saying that the McLaren does not feel the same. And currently for the person, bear in mind, the race winner for round 1. Now we are seeing it might take a little bit more time for him to get used to it and adapt to this car, but they're still going to go through. They might even try and go 3 wide. Please take it nice and easy, chaps. Harry Wills goes on the defensive. There's only one place that Sean Campbell can go, and that's through the middle. No, it's not, because there's a big accident. I think Jackson Starrett's had a bit of a moment. Yeah,
it looks like Starrett's gone off driver's left going into Lake Home. We'll see if we can pick that up here in just a moment. But in looking at that McLaren, as he tucked in right back behind the Merc. As they made the run down towards the Campbell Straight. The one thing that Wills was that he was talking about a little bit earlier when we were watching him practice is, and there we go, the battle that we were watching earlier between Starrett and I guess that was Starrett and the 31 machine that
Snyder
went off there, got together. Oof, that was scary at that speed. There, but the one thing about the McLaren, it appears as though the braking is a bit of a challenge. Also, that we know some of the aero issues or some of the aero changes that they made to a lot of these platforms, the drivers have had to work a little bit on brake balance, and it looks like some of the drivers may still be dealing with that. Let's take a look back at that incident coming up over Eau Rouge.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to reserve my judgment to see what happens. So you got obviously Jackson Starrett. Is going to go what seems to be with a possible jink to the inside. Actually, do you know what I think? Goes to the inside. I mean, that is...
And then comes back over.
Yeah, and then both exit stage left.
I mean...
I don't know. That's something that I don't think we're going to be... That's going to be a steward's decision a little bit later on, I'm sure. I mean, there's lots of different ways you can look at that, and without the proper... without actually reviewing it properly, it's very, very difficult. It looked like, again, just two cars not fitting into one space. I mean, I'd probably class that possibly as a racing incident. The stewards may look at that a little bit differently. But again, until you actually see the 400 different camera angles that you can see when you're actually reviewing, it's very, very difficult to be able to decide who is... So we can have opinions, but it might not necessarily be the correct one. Even though it is opinions, it might not be the correct one based on the information that is present.
All right, and it looks like Isaac Snyder dropped into the pit lane rather early in his Porsche 911. He was running in third in the pro category, and so this may just be his very first of two scheduled pit stops.
That was the person he contacted.
Oh yeah, absolutely right. You're right. That's the number 31 machine. My mistake.
I mean, to be fair, it's very easily done. There's a lot of cars in this grid, to be fair.
Yes, there is.
There's a lot of cars. Sean Campbell's actually just got past, I believe. Sean Campbell has indeed got past Ryan Kaprowski, so that we just caught the tail end of that move. So Sean Campbell now up into P6. Next person in sight for him is P5, Harry Wills.
Harry Wills
can come down.
Yeah, and that Audi of Kaprowski is going to have to take a look. He's got Calvin Dent, who just ran his fastest Sector 1 time there and is all over the back of the number 61 Audi. As we now take a look up at the battle for the lead here with Sean Ryan in his BMW. He continues to hold on to that lead, starting from pole tonight with Nate Olson in the Lamborghini. You can see very close behind in the number 39 machine. And look at this now, up in third. You can kind of see him over the back of the Lamborghini there. It's that black number 57 BMW M4 of PJ Sturgios, finishing the second at Daytona 2 weeks ago. And started much further back in the field. Obviously, tonight started back in, I believe, 12th position. So he's made up a lot of ground in just a few laps here, only 20 minutes into the 75-minute race.
Yeah, well, you think, I mean, these 20 minutes have actually gone quite quickly, but then again, we did have a safety car for about 7 of those minutes. So realistically, we haven't been racing for 100% of this race. To be fair, I think Daniel Tenorio with a very battered car has actually just got past Mark Stiglcow, and that would be why, because Mark Stiglcow has actually had an incident. That would most probably be why that move was made. We'll have to see if the move can actually come back. I'm intrigued to see, and do you know what? I'd almost put money on, if we go to the top bit, I wonder if there's going to be some fuel saving. Let's see if we can ride on board, possibly with Nate Olson. Oh, 100% fuel saving. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it would make sense. It makes sense. Oh, PJ Sturgios.
Yeah, well, Sturgios apparently not having any of it. He's ready to attack right now, while Olson was kind of holding back a little bit, trying to extend his first stint here before dropping into the pits. And so moved PJ Sturgios now up into second. And we saw a couple weeks ago at Daytona, Sturgios ran a very aggressive race to work his way up to the top. Oh, as we have the number 40 machine go off, that is Andrew Hewson. And looks like a couple of other drivers not expecting to see that Lamborghini sitting across the track there have made impact. We'll see who else might have been involved there in a moment.
Yeah, Andrew Houston, the number 40 for Twisted, has currently not got any perspex on the back of that car. Now that, in iRacing terms, is a telltale sign that that has had a very, very big hit. A very big hit. Well, again, not ideal. We're going to have to see it again. We'll definitely be able to get a replay of that. I think Taylor Lane's actually just had a bit of a moment as well. Yes, there is Taylor Lane's. That's a big shunt going on. That was on the exit of Blanchimont, I believe. If there's a place you don't want to crash, it's definitely at Blanchimont. Oh my goodness. That generally, if an incident happens there, it tends to be a relatively large one. Matthew Plaisance and Drew Neubauer are going to go side by side. Oh, that's a brave move going through down into the latter half of this lap here at Spa. But Drew Neubauer makes the position stick. Fair enough indeed. While we're waiting, we've got a bit of breathing room. Let's have a look at what happened to Andrew Houston. Is it just a bit too much on the curb? I think it might be, unless he yeah, just a bit on the curb.
Yeah, a little bit on the curb, and looks like he may have gotten out of the throttle. Oof. And that was actually one, and you can see a lot of the drivers coming out of the chicane there end up getting into him. You know, that was one of the things that the drivers were spoken to about during their drivers briefing. We had, I believe, one incident at Daytona where we had maybe a somewhat unsafe rejoining after an incident, and there you go. You want to try and hold your ground until you see a good portion of the field go by. They're not expecting you to try and loop the car around and get it straightened back out on course going 140 miles an hour. So there we go. We've got a couple cars that were caught up in that incident there. We'll see how the stewards look upon that as the race goes on.
As you say, we will very much, again, we have speculation, we have ideas, we have suggestions, but at the same time, the stewards, unfortunately, again, with the thankless job, so big thank you to the stewards,
yes,
who will be looking at all of these incidents again. Unfortunately, no matter what decision you make, you will always annoy and frustrate one side of that party. Yes, a very thankless job, but we are so very glad that we have people to look after everyone, to making sure they're all having a good race, because that is the main thing. Sean Campbell actually just got past Calvin Dent, so that's the position back. So I think Sean Campbell must have had an off at some point, because he did lose that position, but he obviously recently gained that back. And then further down into the AM category, Drew Neubauer, he's pulling away, not as much as I thought. That was a bit wide though from Jerry Ferrari, and he now is passed by Stephen Martinez.
Yeah, so the AM category, very, very Lamborghini heavy here, and you'll see now running third, Urgskoy. We've got Plaisance, then Neubauer, then, as you mentioned, Stephen Martinez, and then finally we get back to Jerry Forkolb in the Mercedes, sitting a little bit further back there. Wanted to mention Matthew Plaisance in the number 12 machine. I think we'd spoken about him. He was not at the race at Daytona. He was down in southern Louisiana when Hurricane Ida came through, and the power company there did a pretty darn good job. Got the power on, I think, to the whole New Orleans area and a little bit south of there, a little bit earlier than expected. And so we're good to see Matthew back. We're also glad to see Brent Bravata back here as well, who was caught up in that horrible storm as well. But both of them are in reasonably good shape and here racing with us tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to see everyone, as you say. Nice to see, everything returning to some form of normality, and to get people back is always helpful. Jackson Starrett has had another incident, so his race has gone from bad to worse this time out. We're going to see if we can get a replay of that. Calvin Dent is being pressured a little. He's not being pressured all too much, but Kaprowski, I think, is catching at the moment. He was 4 tenths quicker that last lap. That gap is going to come down. That's going to be a race very, very soon. Casey Metzger has just had an issue as well. Again, Casey Metzger's race is going from bad to worse. Oh, that's a nasty crash. I'm trying to think where that is. That could be the corners that I can't remember the name of. But that's just before Stavolo, I believe.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that's Campus. I think that's the I wouldn't call it a chicane, but over by turns 13 and 14, heading over towards Stavolo. So yeah, we'll check in a little bit. Hopefully we'll see a little bit later exactly what happened with that car when we have a little bit of a break in the action as we jump back. And now would be a good time. So let's take a look, and you can see how unstable that car is. And obviously it's been beat up pretty well there. And
Oh,
yeah,
wow, it's ages ago.
Yeah, and I think he's just trying to limp that car home.
Indeed. Just having, again, battles all up and down the field. This was actually Martinez actually just getting past Drew Neubauer. So that was a position going through down into complex after Campbell straight. And I believe that's Lecombe.
Yep.
So that was, again, around the outside of the goals as well.
Yeah, and so you can see there, Martinez now moving up in the 5th in the AM category. In the AM category, he's got Matthew Plaisance in the number 12 machine, the number 12 Lamborghini, a bit up the road, looks like about 10 car lengths back. But for the moment, Martinez still going to have to worry about Neubauer and Hunter sitting just a couple car lengths back there. And actually, you look right back behind Martinez, it looks like Drew Neubauer. He's got all that he can handle right now from the Porsche of Don Hunter as they go side by side. Now into the corner here, and it looks like that black number 4 Porsche is going to be able to take over that spot as they come through the final chicane onto the front straight here. And so now move Don Hunter up into 6th position in the Pro-Am, move Neubauer back 1 position. And here we go, finally a battle for the lead of the race here, and we've got now sitting at the front of the field PJ Sturgios. He moves up into the lead there with Dave Menino in the McLaren moving up in the 2nd, and now Sean Ryan, who started off on the pole, he's doing all he can to hold off to the rest of the field. Looks like Nate Olson in his Lamborghini now all over the back of that white BMW, and they've got Harry Wills in the Mercedes trailing along behind as well. That is the battle right now for the last step on the podium, although I think a little early to be talking about podium finishes here, Daniel, but you know, again, our pole sitter trying to do his best to hold off the rest of the field here, and it's got to be tough knowing that some of these drivers that you know, perhaps outperformed him, had a little bit more pace at Daytona. You know, he's now got to hold them off for, you know, more, you know, almost a little bit less than an hour now. For like another 45 minutes. I
mean, to be fair, yeah, it's something you've got to be, you know, you've got to be considerate of. Like I said, 45 minutes, Harry Wills goes a little bit wide there. They've got to be careful of off tracks as well. All of a sudden, like when you're actually looking, you know, Sean Campbell, bear in mind, like again, the person that we know that was been struggling a little bit with that McLaren, which has changed quite considerably. And you know what, they might even actually have a position open because Sean Campbell, we saw Harry Wills have a bit of a moment on the exit. Is it going to allow Sean Campbell to go through? Do you know what, I don't think the McLaren doesn't look like it has the straight line speed. We know the McLaren, the Mercedes can be quite quick in a straight line, and it's an absolute powerhouse at places like Daytona. And I think, and we have heard as well, people saying that the McLaren does struggle. It struggled at Daytona a little bit, and I think we are seeing a similar thing now.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you know, at Daytona, it struggled with ultimate top-end speed that it just ran out of gearing there, but looked as though certainly here could not get a good tow, although right now we do have Campbell coming up along the side of Harry Wills, but you can see there as he pulls out, you know, just can't move ahead, and they go side by side into Lecombe, and the McLaren gets the job done. It may not be as twitchy as it was, but it was twitchy enough to get it rotated around there, and was able to carry a little bit more speed through that through the chicane at Lecombe to get around the Mercedes. Now Harry Wills has got to worry about Calvin Dent, who made up some ground there in the draft as we had the McLaren and the Mercedes side by side, you know, down the Campbell Straight here.
Indeed, we do. Speaking of other battles as well, that is Jerry Ferkolb that's going through on Drew Neubauer. So Drew Neubauer going the wrong way. He definitely doesn't want to be done. He wants to be going the other way to actually move up some positions, but at the moment he seems to be dropping down. They've lost a few in the past couple of laps. I think actually Stephen Martinez passed Mark Scott as well, just a little bit further up the field. Is this possibly a move on the outside? Oh, no, that would be right, because...
yeah, I thought that a couple cars might have gotten together just ahead of that battle that we were watching, and I saw the smoke up there, but it looks like we just had a single car go around. That was a very nice move as Plaisance gets around Dan Floria. And that moves Plaisance now up into second in the Pro-Am category.
Second in the Pro-Am, second in the Am category.
Category, I'm sorry.
That's fine, that's fine. I was getting first. Oh, what has happened there? Mark Scott has had another incident. Again, the race going from bad to worse for Mark Scott as well. That is not good at all. Mark Scott's actually currently sitting in P11 in the Am category, P28 overall. I'm sure he'll be dropping off a little bit further down the field because of that incident. Are we going to see Drew Neubauer having to defend? Is he going to lose another position? Okay, he's down currently. He did actually pass. Obviously, he's been bumped up because of Mark Scott's incident. Is he going to lose another position to Matthew Alvis? Oh, that's a lunge from Matthew Alvis. What a move. He can make it stick. Drew Neubauer is not going to give it up that easily. He's been overtaken once too many times. I think he's gone, nope. He's now starting to really push and fight back. So Matthew Alvis has to then retain that position. Ken Sodska, have a look at this. I think he's just got front row seats here. He's going to let these two just battle out and try and pick up the pieces if there are any left.
I was just going to say, wait to pick up the pieces when these two inevitably touch. Here as they now make the run down the hill over towards Eau Rouge, and we see here now as Neubauer in the Lamborghini has managed to open up a little bit of space on Matthew Alvis, but we'll see here as we've been watching. Obviously, prime place to get in the draft here, going down the Campbell Straight, and now Matthew Alvis pulls to the inside, and you can see right behind there, Soska not exactly sure which horse to pick there, heading down towards Lacombe, whether he should go left or go right, and he chose neither, I think. There as they come through now into the hairpin at Brussels, and it's going to take probably wait for things to open up here a little bit more before Alvis takes another shot at it. All right, let's take a look.
From Campbell, that's going out of, I believe.
Well, that was
to me if I am wrong, and I can't even remember the name. I can't remember the name for the life of me of that corner. But
no,
anyway,
that looks like it's going through. Looks like it's going through to Blanchimont, going down towards the chicane. There, matter of fact, there's the entrance to the pit lane on driver's right that we just passed, and so this is coming down into the final chicane. So that was going down originally into Blanchimont when we picked it up, and but he is now sitting back.
May have just been a spin.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Stavelot, I was right, yeah, just from the exit of Stavelot, I think that was where that position has. So let's see if we can grab a replay of that. We've actually got a few more position changes here. Actually, no, first round of pit stops. Oh, interesting stuff. I forgot about that. Pit stops as well to bear in mind. Dave Menino, is he going to have a move possibly on Sergio's? Goes to the outside because Sergio's naturally would take the defensive line. McLaren is very good on the brakes, we know that. But look at the BMW. Oh, wowzers, how good. Ooh, that's a bit close.
Ooh,
Very, very good on the brakes there. Yeah, everyone's starting to go into the pits now. First round of pit stops are on their way. Let's have a look at what happened to Sean Campbell. Is it just a tap of the grass? I reckon it might be. Or it might actually be the curb. Yeah, the curb sent him round.
Yeah, got on the inside curbing there and lifted up the rear end, and around he goes. Gets it back underway
no damage,
soon
though.
Afterwards.
Yeah, no damage, which is nice.
No, just some flat spotted tires.
Yeah, well, to be fair, this is the one, I suppose, the one good thing in a way that iRacing doesn't actually simulate flat spots.
Yes.
Which is always handy. Again, for those of you who are slightly unsure, it's, iRacing does not simulate flat spots. Sims like ACC, they will do. And if that were to happen in ACC, you would be shaken to your core. If you were to try and drive like that with those sort of tyres, because that was a 120 mile an hour slide. So realistically, that is just a new set of tyres. That would be an absolute given. iRacing does not have that. Although rain is coming, so they are making some improvements, and I wonder how the tyre model is going to adapt to that. But a flat spot in iRacing would be very, very nice. Very nice indeed. I've just looked. The entire Am field, I think, has come into the pits apart from Daniel Floria, Drew Neubauer, and Carl Fredrickson.
And now Sturgios comes into the pit lane as well. Let's see if Sean Ryan follows him in. He does. Nate Olson as well. And so all of our front runners in the pro category coming in to the pit lane at the same time. I was going to, and as you see here now, looks like Sean Campbell coming in as well. You know, we saw very similar action at Daytona a couple weeks ago, where, you know, none of the drivers appeared to want to risk, you know, not being able to set fast laps when, you know, when the leaders peeled off and maybe do the overcut. But here we've got almost that entire field. Matter of fact, I'm looking now, I think the entire top 10 in the pro category now taking their very first pit stops.
Yep, as you say, the first round of pit stops are well underway, and then we've got one more round of pit stops to go, and then that will be obviously going to the end of the race itself. That'll be going, you know, the first pit stop doesn't really make too much of a difference. The second pit stop, that's the one you've got to be careful of, because that's the one that you want to go as far, realistically, as you can. Because when you go as far as you can, that then puts you in a very good position to then turn around, and the longer you go, the less fuel you're going to have to put in for the splash and dash at the end. So that is something we actually saw that it did caught a few. That actually caught a few people out when it actually went on. The Race Anywhere World Series actually went on for another lap, and I think a couple of people, or several people, weren't anticipating it.
Yes.
So that's one thing drivers have got to watch out for as well. It's a long old lap, this.
And we're on board. We've been watching Ken Soska there in the black DBR Racing number 7 Lamborghini, and he's been making up a little bit of ground on Andrew Hewitt there. This is the battle for 11th in the AM category. That last time by, actually Hewitt was off a lap, or pardon me, Soska was off a lap, almost 7 seconds off of Hewitt's times there for the very last lap. So we'll see if things close down here now as they cross the stripe.
I think that would be because of the pit stop.
Pit stop, yeah.
That would be my first guess, but again, could be wrong, although that would indeed make sense and most probably add up as well. A little bit further up the field as well, again, as a few people come in, come out, and they're all trying to sort themselves out. One of the closest battles again we have got, this is between Harry Wills and Nathan Olsen. This is for P4. Justin Brunner, Sean Ryan, PJ Sergios, they're going to want this battle to continue, because you've got Olsen, Wills and Dent in 4th, 5th and 6th respectively. The top 3, they're just going to want that battle to happen, because they're going to want to pull away. Regardless whether they're together or not, which they aren't at this moment in time, they are still going to want to pull away. See, the top step of the podium, you've got P1, 2, 3. You want a podium position, don't you? So, you know, you're going to have P4, 5 and 6 fighting to be able to get in front of one another so they can possibly catch up to Justin Brunner. But again, we will have to see. It's really anyone's game here still.
Oh, and you can see there coming into the final chicane as Harry Wills took all of the curbing. I think he was, hoping to, trying to give a little bit of room to Calvin Dent there coming through. I don't think he realized how far off of his quarter panel that Dent was. Maybe compromised his exit speed through the chicane there a little bit, but it looks like he's made it back up to the back of Nate Olsen as they now come down, and you can see Olsen keeping the car all the way driver's right, trying to stay a little defensive as they make the run down to Eau Rouge. As we jump back once again, this is the battle between Matt Alvis and Dan Floria, and Alvis has made up quite a bit of ground on that McLaren of Floria in the last couple of laps.
Yes, they have. We're going to see, though, can that momentum still maintain? As a friend of the racing driver, I think it was Jackie Stewart, wasn't it? Catching up is one thing, but getting past is quite another. And especially someone like Spa, well, you've got some pretty heavy braking zones. Again, the level of competition that we see here for people is very, very good indeed. It's very, very tricky to make this overtakes because everyone simply brakes so late. But Matthew Alvis is going to try and go around the outside. Is he going to do it? Do you know what? I don't think Daniel Floria is going to actually... no, he doesn't. So Daniel Floria doesn't actually defend all that much, if at all.
Yeah, Matthew I don't think Floria had much of a choice. Alvis had gotten a great jump out of La Source, and Alvis had stuck to the inside. It actually kept that car kind of pinned to the inside a little bit, did not get a great run out, and you could see there where Alvis was able to just drive right on by him. Let's take another Actually, this is Andrew Hewitt, who we're on board with John Casey right behind. Oh. And was that Casey, I believe? That was right behind, but that was Hewitt that went around. Now as we jump back to live action with Floria and the other Gulf liveried McLaren, and Matthew Alvis just ahead.
Yeah, I couldn't quite see who that was, unfortunately. At the top of your screen now, you can see we do now have the Pro-Am leaders. Currently, Sturgio's, Cooper, and Kalaga. Eric Kalaga having a very, very good race at this moment. Errol Yuruksoy currently in P2 as well. Again, having another very, very good battle with Matthew Plaisance, Stephen Martinez as well. So a battle for P2 very much on the cards here in the AM category. And there we go. That is the battle. 3 Lamborghinis. Kalaga 6 seconds up the road, practically in terms of racing. That's about 400 miles. And that seems like to be what would be an eternity, is 7 seconds. It can all change though. Let's not say anything just yet. But Plaisance and Uruksoy, they're going to be having a good old battle as long as Matthew Plaisance in that number 12. Whoa, that was well, it wasn't a lunge, but it was very late in the brakes. And you know what?
He was trying to make up as much ground and get right onto the rear bumper there of Yuruksoy through that last chicane. And you can see there, along with Plaisance and Martinez, we've got Dan Torrio. He's the last of the Lamborghinis there. Torrio is actually in the Pro-Am category. Currently running 7th, so mixed in with the AM category drivers. Right behind him, we've got Don Hunter in the Porsche, who is running 5th in that AM category. But you can see he's a couple car lengths back there. But now you see that the Porsche tries to get around Tenorio, and he does. But just ahead of him, side by side, we've got Martinez and Plaisance. Going at it, trying to, as long as they continue to do that, I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with the pace of Yuruksoy, but Yuruksoy still not able to sneak away as of yet.
No, he's not breaking the toe, is he, at this moment in time? I wonder if, again, he's trying to save a bit of fuel, even though he's not actually behind anyone. I wonder if he's still trying to save some fuel. I mean, realistically, you still can't... Fuel saving doesn't need to just happen when you are... when you're behind someone. Fuel saving can happen all of the time. It doesn't take much to save a surprising amount of fuel. Even if you're sitting there, out the Campbell, down the Campbell Straight, for example, I mean, you can still be lifting quite considerably earlier than you initially think, and you can still gain or not lose any time. That's the key thing. Rather than gain time, you won't gain time, but you won't not. It's not that you're going to lose any time. If you time it right.
Sure, and and if we take a look at in those drivers that we were just looking at Yuruksoy, Martinez, Plaisance, you look at the times that they spent in the pits for their very first pit stop. Difference between Yuruksoy and Martinez, only 0.05 of a second difference on the pit lane, and another 1/10 of a second that Plaisance spent on the pit lane. And so obviously a lot goes into this. If you can manage to save fuel and just short fill just that tiny little bit, I mean, it could be worth a half a car length or a car length, which is what you might need at the end. And that is at the moment what Yuruksoy needed over Martinez and Plaisance. As we jump back over now to our battle for the lead in the Pro-Am category, we're on board with John Cooper in his Lamborghini, the Lamborghini of Zach Gregory, very close behind. And this has been a pretty tight battle. They had worked their way through that initial, shall we say, other than just saying incident, but the big one in NASCAR terms, over at Eau Rouge on the very first lap. Cooper having started, I believe, somewhere. Let's see. Cooper started in Pro-Am, started 2nd. Okay, and Zach Gregory made his way up. Zach Gregory actually started P11, so he has made up a number of spots here since the start of the race.
Just going to replay coming up for Kyle Haslitsky. I wonder what happened here. Oh, that car's seen better days, isn't it?
Oof.
Wowzers. as he actually goes off a little bit as well. So he's just, again, moving out of the way of everyone that is coming through, which is ever so kind of him. Carlos is actually, again, we've just seen, it's coming up on the time and test. Harry Will's gone off track. We've seen that a few times as well, and I think that's just going to the exit of the curb, going through into Stavolo. It is, yeah. So just as, again, as a warning, word of warning for everyone as well, if you are thinking about jumping on iRacing, be careful of that. Be careful of that track limit excursion there, because that will give you an off track. Okay, that will certainly give you an off track. You've got to be careful. There's a limit here as well to the amount of off tracks that you can get, the amount of the number. If you reach that number, it's a penalty. If you get if you get another 5 or 10 after you've had your first penalty, it's a complete disqualification. We do not take this lightly, especially, and that comes into contact. Any contact, any off tracks, any loss of control, anything like that will have an effect, and it will all count towards your instant point limit. And if you hit the limit, that's it. You're done. That's
it, exactly. And so what we do is we give the drivers up to 25 incident points before they get a drive-through penalty, but not much of a margin after that. If they hit 30, that is the DQ limit for the race. So you certainly want to stay within those limits. Try to run as clean a race as possible. Try to keep the car on track. As we jump back now over to this battle that seems to never end. Ryan Kaprowski and Dave Meneno. This is the battle for 6th in the pro category between the McLaren of Meneno, the Audi of Kaprowski. Both drivers, this is actually where they started the race, started 6th and 7th this evening.
As you say, they haven't lost any position. Actually, instantly, Harry Wills actually started P8 as well. So neither driver there has actually made up any positions currently from when they started in the race. So that is, again, it could be worse. It very much could be worse. I think with less than half hour to go now, bear in mind, you've got some opportunities here. I don't think it's it's something to certainly not worry about too much. There's lots of, as I said, lots of potential opportunities. The gaps have started to spread out a little bit. Unfortunately, we have had a fair few drivers get caught up in these incidents, especially the ones we had at the main start, obviously the initial start, and then the restart as well. So it has taken its toll on the grid that is currently running. But still, there are some good battles going on. One of the battles that's sort of simmering at the moment, I wouldn't say it's still nothing happening at this moment in time, is Martinez and Plaisant. Don Hunt is actually just behind there as well. So it's not quite there yet. It's just about to pick up. It's going to take a bit of time. But I'm sure that give it another bit of time. There's Sammy Lackey coming out of the pits. Again, unfortunately, we're still a very, very damaged car. So that may very well be game over. For Sammy Lackey there. Not good at all. Eric Kulaga has had a small moment. Is it going to be going to Stavolo? Yes, it is. Another off track. You have to be careful. Spa is notorious, and actually Spa, to be honest, is one of the worst tracks. They've made it a bit more lenient, I think, in recent months. But it's still a hateful track when it comes to off tracks.
All right, as we jump back to that battle, for 2nd in the Pro-Am category, or 17th overall, Errol Yerkskoy, basically the whole gaggle of Lamborghinis with the one Porsche tagging along. It's Yerkskoy, Martinez, Plaisance, and then Don Hunter in that Porsche, and you can really see there, Daniel, the Porsche just it always seems to be able to hunker down, get a good jump out of La Source, but it just does not seem to have the straight line speed, and just not able to stay in the draft of the Lamborghinis as they make the way one out of La Source, but also going down the Campbell Straight as well. He does manage to make it up then under braking going into Lacombe, but it always seems to be just a little bit on the back foot there compared to the 4 Lamborghinis ahead of him, or pardon me, the 3 Lamborghinis ahead of him.
I think we know that the Porsche, the Porsche inherently tends to be, it's good on the brakes, it's never the quickest car in a straight line realistically. The other thing as well is what the wing angle of people are running as well. A wing angle, a rear wing angle of between 4 and 3 tends to be, I think, what a few people would run. However, you do get some people that run a wing of about 2. one's probably a little bit too low, but two, it tends to be what could be considered a sweet spot, I suppose. It still gives you some downforce, but allows you to pull a bit of time on the straight. That could be what's happening here. You know, we've got Don Hunter running a slightly higher wing.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I was looking through the release notes for the updates to iRacing last week. One of the major changes to the 911 RGT3, increased drag and downforce.
There we go.
Was one of the changes. They also increased the minimum weight on the car as well. So I think a lot of things there are conspiring to hurt it in the along the very long straights here.
It's a shame.
At Spa.
It's a shame, isn't it? Because the Porsche is a great car, and it's actually, it's the car that I drive. It's the car that I would drive if I had the opportunity. But as well, who was that going slightly wide?
That was the. I think that was no. I think that was. Oh, let's see. Yeah, actually, that the 72 machine.
The 72 machine.
Is that right? And I don't have a 72.
Matthew Plaisance and then Don Hunter. Yes, it was Matthew Plaisance, number 12.
Plaisance, yeah.
They're having a good, like I said, good bit of tussle. They're still continuing now. But what's
12,
happened to
72? Who would know the difference? All right. Sorry about that.
Gt3's had a moment. What has happened here? Not good.
Gt3, he was running second in the Pro-Am category, and it looks like he may have had an off-track there. It looked like he had to give up time. Let's take a look. As he ran wide there, and yeah, probably an off-track there, and had to pull over and give up ground.
Yeah, it might be a slowdown. I mean, to be fair, he would have had to have given it up for a hell of a long time, because that was going down on the Campbell straight, bear in mind. So that should have almost been, it should have almost like come and gone by now. So I wonder if there's anything happened a little bit further down the field.
Well, there.
It's a bit of a knock.
Yeah.
Do you know what I wonder it'll be? I reckon it's going to be going through down an upper region rally. I'd almost put money on where that's being if it is a slowdown, because it's so easy to get a slow. It's easy enough to get an off track, let alone a slowdown there. You only have to travel about 3 millimeters further over to the left, and a slowdown would suffice. So unfortunately, apologies, we've stayed on this for a little bit longer than initial. I just want to see, is it too? Yeah, there you go.
There it is. Yep.
And there we go.
Went all the way to the left of the curbing. Took a while for us to get there, but eventually we did, and that it now moves Errol Yerkskoy back to fourth position, and a very distant fourth at that in the Pro-Am category. He's going to have to find a way to get around Dan Tenorio in the Pro-Am Lamborghini, but he's quite a bit up the road as we jump now over towards, let's see which battle this is. This is Soska, who I believe in the number 7 machine, the DBR entry there. He's got Kyle Fredrickson in the Mercedes just ahead, and he's got Drew Neubauer. And Neubauer, I think, has spent the last 25 minutes or so trying to get around that number 7 machine. Hasn't been able to get it done here. This is the battle now for 8th in the AM category.
The moment then we have is a bit of a battle. Actually, no, sorry, it was John Cooper. I thought that was a change of position, but it wasn't. It was just John Cooper coming out of the pit lane. So he has gone through his first thing. Gt3 he's actually lost another couple of positions as well. So Matthew Alvis has actually got past. I think he was actually possibly, whether he was letting Daniel Tenorio by, and then Alvis capitalised on the opportunity and went, thank you very much, and then slipped up the inside. That could very well what has actually happened. I wonder if we can get a replay of that, because I'd be interested to see what happened. Frederick Lavoie, he's had a moment. Where is this? Oh, that BMW's seen better days, isn't it? Wowzers.
Yeah.
Certainly seen better days. Oh, just over the curb, and off he goes. So that's definitely not what he wanted to do. And you know what? Here is the overtake from Matthew Alvis. I think it was.
Yeah, I think he just followed Tenorio right on through. That's exactly what he did. I would think that Yerksoy would have known the second. And look at this. I think Yerksoy just went around. Right back behind the... Yeah, as we were just watching there, and there he is. He spun the car coming out of the final chicane, it looked like. Actually, that wasn't the final chicane. I don't think that was... that coming through?
Longchamp,
yeah.
Campus?
Yeah.
So, yes, not ideal. So, Errol Yerksoy's race going from bad to worse. Second round of pit stops are happening now, as we can see on the timer tower on the left-hand side. It's going to get a little bit mental at the moment, so we do apologise for the confusion or any confusion caused. But yes, that would be wise because people are coming into the pits and people are on the same lap. Obviously, they'll move up and then they'll move down when they pit, and lots and lots of different things. So, realistically, again, it's anyone's guess, isn't it? Really, to be perfectly honest.
That's with just about 20 minutes remaining here, we are starting to see some of our looks like some of our Pro-Am drivers starting to come in. Just a few at this point. It does look like the entire Pro category is still out on track. They've not started to come in, and if I remember correctly, they had started to come in about a lap, maybe 2 laps after the Pro-Ams had started their pits. But looks like Joey Stats and the Ford came in. Tyler Campbell came in, both in Pro-Am. Let's see who else. Zach Gregory worked his way through, as did John Cooper. It doesn't look like our 2 leaders in Pro-Am, Tom Fisher and Mark Sigelkow, have come in as of yet, but we should keep an eye on them. And the majority of the AM category still on track, have not come in for their pit stops as of yet. As we're back on board now with Errol Yerksoy, who I'm sure would like to just forget the last 3 or 4 laps here this evening, as he went from being just off the podium to in Pro-Am, or probably in Am, to all the way down in 7th.
As you say, well, I think a fair race, possibly a second half of the race that Yerksoy is going to be wanting to forget. A little bit further down, as you see, we've got a lot of people within this grid that are still running around, but unfortunately they're running around, on their lonesome, really. So again, we've got currently, on circuit at the moment. One of the ones actually driving along, if we can actually find him, there is Michael Kalaga, number 82, currently in 10th in the Pro-Am category. But yeah, it's in a bit of no man's land, really, because P9 is about 1.5 minutes up the road. And then Brent Bavata is about 2 minutes 18 seconds behind. So Michael Kalaga, fair play though for managing to nurse the car home currently, and it's not exactly a fantastic state, is it? Really, it's seen better days.
No. Certainly doesn't look like fine Italian workmanship there, with no front hood, and it looks like a lot of damage in the rear of the car. As you mentioned, he's currently running 10th in class. Frederick Lavoie running 9th, and there are 5 cars separating them on track right now. So it'd be a pretty tough run there for Kulaga to pick up another spot, but he seems to be, as you mentioned, kind of in a nice little pocket there by himself, where he can just kind of sit in, put his head down, and try to turn fast laps, or as fast as you can, given the condition of the car currently.
Yeah, I think,
right behind him, though, here as we take a look, is that I think that should be up towards the top of the field, I think, right behind him there. That's Harry Wills, along with Nate Olson. Olson at one point had been running in 2nd place very early on in this race. This is right now the battle for 5th in the Pro category, as they are working their way through some of the slower traffic here. Currently, I believe about 2.5 seconds back from Kapowski, who is you saw him there in the Audi, currently running 3rd overall.
Kapowski, I mean, that 4 seconds, I think realistically, especially when we've got less than 15 minutes left to go, that battle there, Whether it's going to materialize into anything, I don't know, unless something happens. But what is going to happen, though, with Nathan Olsen, he's going to be on the inside. Harry Wills isn't defending it all that much. I thought he'd go straight to the inside, but he decides not to. Oh, no! No, 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 not what you wanted at all. Do you know what?
I mean, you could see how hard Wills got into the brakes. You saw the nose go all the way down to the pavement, and he released the brakes, I think, to keep from running long, and probably carried about another 10 miles an hour into the corner compared to the Lamborghini. Very, very hard hit there as the Lambo goes off.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think Harry Wills was expecting Nathan Olsen to actually. Obviously, he knew that he was going to be compromising the exit, whether he was trying to go for the cutback, and obviously he just didn't realize that Nathan Olsen's car was going to be there. That would probably be my first guess. But yeah, ultimately, not ideal. I'm sure Harry Wills, again, the frustration in there. We were saying this earlier on, actually, in the Racing Anywhere World Series. Again, regardless of whether you're involved in the incident, regardless of what side you are, it can be equally as frustrating, because the last thing you want to do is to cause any incidents. And also, if you are involved in an incident, again, it can be frustrating. So I can see both sides. So the last thing you want to do is to, frustrate any of your rivals out on track. You've got to be clean and considerate. But yes. Then again, obviously there was nothing, actually, no intention behind it. So it's just one of those things.
Yep. Absolutely, and during that exchange there, we were talking about Ryan Kaprowski, who had been about 2.5 seconds up the road. Kaprowski now about 5 seconds up the road as Harry Wills ducks into the pits. This should be his second and final pit stop. Looks like Nate Olsen heads in as well. I'm sure part of that might be trying to look at some of the damage that happened to those cars here as we go on board right now. A little bit further back in the field, we've got Zach Gregory in the number 60 machine. He's given hasn't given the chrome horn, but he's definitely given the headlights to I believe that's Fredrickson right up ahead of him. Yeah, Fredrickson in the number 36 machine trying to get by. That is not a battle in class Fredrickson no. and they both go off. I was just going to say it wasn't a battle in class, and it looked as though for the moment there. And the Mercedes gets the car off track. We'll say barely. That could have turned all for naught very, very quickly.
Well, someone's going to need a new race suit after that, aren't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe 2 or 3 drivers are going to need new suits after that one. That was very, very close. And, it looks like Gregory's tried to get back up to speed as quickly as possible there after he dropped a number of positions. And, that moves him down right now to 5th in the Pro-Am category. And, we'll see here. He doesn't go into the pits yet as we now take a look at John Cooper and move Cooper now up into 3rd in the Pro-Am. He's about well, I was going to say he was about 3 seconds back, but Fisher and Sigelkow both went down into the pit, so that now moves Cooper up from 3rd into the lead in the Pro-Am category, and he had already completed his second pit stop. So we'll see where these other drivers come out, but that should allow Cooper to should give Cooper a pretty comfortable margin here against the rest of the Pro-Am field with about 10 minutes remaining.
As you say, 10 minutes remaining in round 2 here in the Racing Anywhere Transatlantic Championship. A couple of battles. It's the calm before the storm, I think. This is where it's now really going to start heating up, because if you have a slightly slower pit stop, a slightly slower entry, a slightly slower exit, all of a sudden, that 3-second gap that you had, it's only half a second now. And as you in these closing stages of the race with less than 10 minutes to go, this is where it's really going to start heating up. One of the ones I'm actually cautious to, I'm wanting to keep an eye on. There's actually a few. You've got Matthew Plaisance, Don Hunter, okay, Matthew Alvis also potentially as well, Errol Uriksoy and Jerry, that is Jerry Furkolb. You then have as well Thomas Fisher with Zachary Gregory. That's a battle for position out on track as well. You then have Sean Ryan along with Justin Brunner. This is it now. It's the calm before the storm. And in these final 5 minutes, it's going to be the do or die moment here.
Yeah, and I was looking up at the top of the field as we had Dave Menino and Ryan Kaprowski go into the pits. They had been running second and third at the time they dropped in. Menino just now coming out, and it looks like Kaprowski coming out as well. Difference between them, Menino in the pit lane for about actually about a tenth of a second less than Kaprowski, but it drops them back to 6th and 7th. But our current leaders, Dent and Schreiber, have not taken a pit stop yet. PJ Sturgios, who had been leading, he has taken his final pit stop, as has Sean Ryan, who was our pole sitter tonight. After these pit exchanges, we'll likely move him up, keep him up in second position. Great job there to hold off the majority of the pro field here tonight at Spa. As we jump back now over, this is Tom Fisher in the 59 machine, trailing right behind Zach Gregory. We saw Gregory with that huge impact just about 2 laps ago. And Fisher now all over the back of the number 60 machine, which probably is not an optimal tool at this point.
As you say, again, what is going to happen? Thomas Fisher versus Zachary Gregory, round the outside, round the inside. What's going to happen? Going through Lacombe, down through the right, then down to the left, still side by side, down through the final right again. And it is going to be Zachary Gregory that makes that position. Currently now holds P2. And Thomas Fisher is now in that final step on the podium, but he's trying to fight back already. Again, this is it. This is where it's really going to start to kick off now. Let's have a look at Sean Ryan and Justin Brunner as well. I want to have a quick look at that in a few moments' time. Matthew Plaisance is being hassled actually by Daniel Tenorio. I think possibly Michael Kalaga has had a bit of a moment. Ryan Kaprowski's also had a moment, and so is Alex Treba. It's all starting to kick off now. This is it. This is exactly what we want. Cavan Dent actually, we're taking a brief lead for the moment, and now Cavan Dent is back in the pit lane along with Alex Treba, I reckon. There.
So that should move. Yeah, that should move Sturgios back up to the lead here in a few moments. And there you go, Sturgios going on by here as we keep on with this battle right now for second in Pro-Am. And Daniel, the last time that they came down the Campbell Straight going into the chicane there, I thought that Fisher had given a lot of deference to Gregory and really got on the binders and just did not want to go through that chicane side by side. He doesn't seem to have that problem right now, but the number 60 machine, here we go, as they go side by side through the final chicane, ends up giving up the position now. So move Zach Gregory in the number 60 back into third position in Pro-Am, move Tom Fisher up into second, and they've got a long way to go. It looks like to get up to the leader, John Cooper. I think it's somewhere around looks to be somewhere around 40 seconds up the road there, but still with just over 5 minutes remaining here, probably this lap and one more lap, I would suppose, depending on where our leader Sturgios is.
Coming into the final closing stages of this race, 5.5 minutes left to go. Now, realistic grid, this is only going to be a couple of laps. We've actually got some more battling going here. This is Zach Gregory. Whoa, actually, do you know what? A big moment. A big moment for Zachary Gregory.
He went off and took the access road there to get on track, Zach Gregory, and I believe he may have given up a position to Sigelcow. Let's take a look here.
Oh, God, that was close. Oh, my goodness. There was contact, but I think everyone got away with that. I think everyone did. I could be wrong, actually. I'd like to see it from the position. Let's have a look at on board. Just want to see. Oh, that must have been so. There was contact, actually.
Just the slightest little brush there across the bumper did not look like Fisher's. Looked like it changed the attitude of Fisher's car all that much going into the chicane there. But that will certainly make things a little bit easier for Thomas Fisher here with just a couple minutes left. Currently running second in Pro-Am, and again, it moves Mark Sigelcow in his Mercedes AMG GT3 up into the last podium position here for the moment. As we jump back a little bit to, this is Jerry Forkolb currently running 7th in the AM category, and trying to make up another position there. He's got Errol Yerksoy running in 6th, quite a bit up ahead, however.
Yeah, Uruksoy in that 6th position. I mean, again, I don't want to say anything. I really, really don't. You know, we are coming into these closing stages, but it doesn't mean that anything can't happen, because it absolutely will. Sean Ryan was having a good old scrap there with Justin Brunner, and Justin Brunner actually made that move stick. So that is a move that's done and done. I'm going to see if I can get a replay of that a little bit earlier on. Here is the move here. But let's just have a look at this again. Coming down through into the Coombe. Again, last of the late breakers. This time it was Justin Brunner. And there he goes through to maintain that position, to grab that position there. So P2, and he has demoted Sean Ryan into P3. At the moment, it's BMW, McLaren, and then BMW once again.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, Ryan had managed to hold off the majority of the field there for almost the entire 75 minutes. You know, but Brunner, he got up to the back of the number 9 machine, or beside the number 9 machine, at just the right spot. Again, the nimbleness of that McLaren, able to negotiate that chicane much more easily than the big BMW. Got him right at the right place there, and was able to use the power to get out. And you can see even there on the final chicane, able to carry a little bit more speed through those tight sections. Certainly, the big sweepers are where the BMW is going to shine, but not any place here remaining at spot where I think that's going to be an issue here. As let's see where Sturgis is. We have just now a little bit over 2 minutes remaining.
I think there is 2 more laps to go. This one,
yeah, it should be. Yeah, depending, given where Brunner and Ryan are right now, Sturgis, who is almost 7 full seconds up the road from them, should be getting the white flag the next time by. As our 2nd and 3rd place runners right now in the pro category, they're coming up on some traffic just ahead. You saw Brunner flipping the lights there, trying to make his way around, and you can see getting a little deference from the drivers ahead, and clearing their way. I think that's probably the last thing. You know, Brunner doesn't want to have to come up on some slower traffic, have to try and find his way through, and then find that Ryan uses them as a pick to get through. But now both of those drivers have cleared traffic, at least for a couple more corners here, and that will open things up, maybe perhaps make things a little bit more fair here for both Brunner and Ryan, as time and distance definitely counting down for these 2 drivers and all of our drivers here in the Race Anywhere Transatlantic Championship.
Indeed, it is going through 1 more lap to go, or near enough 1 more lap to go. And then we're going to see who is going on top. Again, the main battles that we've got at the moment, Mark Sigelkow versus Zachary Gregory, is still very much on the cards, and there is no clear defined set person that's going to be taking the final step. This is for the final step on the podium in Pro-Am. Bear in mind, the gap is half a second. Is it going to be half a second by the time they come around at this time next lap? That is the big question indeed. 15 seconds left to go. Where is PJ Sturgis? There he is. So it's 1 more lap. It's going to be close, but 1 more lap nevertheless. Now, we saw this earlier, didn't we, Greg? And what I was telling you about, you know, a couple of people got caught out by this fuel. Is this going to have to be the same thing? It's so very close. There's only about 25 seconds in it. So I wonder if people are going to start. I think it's something that we didn't see it all too much at Daytona. So I don't think it'll be too much of an issue here, especially because people are used to it. This is the 2nd round, obviously. But at the same time, it still could catch a few people out.
You know, and depending on what their fuel fills were here, you know, last lap gasp here, and most likely, you know, I'm sure we'll see Sturgis doing a little bit of fuel savings here. He's got, you know, he certainly has enough of a margin right now, about 7.5 seconds over Brunner and Ryan. but you know, a little bit further back in the field where some of these other battles are still going on, you may find that that these drivers are still going to be going full throttle. We still have that battle going on. I believe, you know, I was watching, I guess, Zigelkow and Fisher were still rather close, and Zach Gregory, and here you go. Zach Gregory was kind of searching them out behind, but now side by side we've got Zigelkow and Fisher. Zigelkow in the Mercedes on the left-hand side, and Fisher managing to hold him off. But again, some battles here for position and for podiums, not done yet after 75 minutes.
No, very true. Actually, this was the ultimate pass. So this isn't actually the pass. So apologies. I'm looking at this in a slightly different fashion. Ultimately, though, Mark Zigelkow is now ahead, and he is in P3. So he has made that move. He is now currently on that final step of the podium that we can see. So fair play indeed. Haven't quite got a replay for some reason of the overtake itself. But
and here we go. And our leader, PJ Sturgios, coming back out. And actually, I believe he has already taken the checkered flag. The checkered flag is just coming out of the final chicane here. So taking the win for round 2, both in the pro category and overall. PJ Sturgios, he was runner-up 2 weeks ago, takes the win tonight. Justin Brunner in his McLaren will finish 2nd, and then Sean Ryan will finish 3rd in his BMW. Great run for Sean tonight, having started on pole. Calvin Dent will finish in 4th, with Dave Meneno finishing 5th, with Ryan Kaprowski finishing 6th. Nate Olson crosses the stripe in 7th. And now let's jump back and take a look. We've got our leader in the Pro-Am category. That is John Cooper in the number 18 Lamborghini, and he is going to cross the stripe. He takes the win in Pro-Am. Thomas Fisher, he's about 6 seconds back. He should be coming out of the chicane right about now, and there he is. And he's got Zigelkow all over the back of him, but Thomas Fisher, a very exciting race for him, especially some of those battles that he had with Zach Gregory a little bit earlier. Fisher's going to finish 2nd. Zigelkow will take the last step on the Pro-Am podium. And now we take a look. We've got the number 53 Lamborghini of Steven Martinez. He's going to cross the stripe, takes the win in the AM category. Eric Kulaga crosses the stripe in his Lamborghini, the number 66 machine. He will finish in 2nd, finishing 3rd. Matthew Plaisance in the number 12 machine. After taking the first week at Daytona off, he comes back on the podium, works his way all the way up from the back of the AM field. Don Hunter will finish just off the podium in 4th. Then we've got Errol Yerikskoy and Jerry Forkolb. Yerikskoy gets around Forkolb on the last couple of laps. Then Dan Floria will finish in 8th. Drew Neubauer will finish 9th. Matthew Alvis in the number 87 machine, also a very strong run tonight. He will finish in, I believe he will finish in 10th in the AM category.
What a race that was. We were not short of action. We're never short of action in this series, are we, to be fair?
No.
And that's definitely going to spice some things up in terms of the championship points as well. That's really going to spice some things up. We've seen, not the performances that we did want to see, obviously, for Sean Campbell, taking the win in the first round, and unfortunately not able to actually finish the race. In this particular round, which is not ideal. So, I mean, we're going to see this, I would imagine, throughout the remainder of the season quite heavily here. This is not going to be a one-off, this sort of action that we've got here tonight.
No, certainly not. All right, so we have some folks here. Let's see. I think we have some folks starting to line up in the waiting room here. And we do have, looks like Thomas Fisher, driver of the number 59 machine, already and standing by. Let's bring him on in. Thomas, are you there?
I am. Hello.
All right. Hello. Welcome to the commentary booth, and congratulations on your race tonight. Why don't you give us a little rundown how your race went this evening?
It was a very up and down sort of race. wasn't able to compete in Daytona for personal reasons, which meant I was starting at the back today, right at the back. We knew we had strong pace heading into it, but just in that big accident at the top of Ration, I checked up and someone just went straight up my behind. So got quite a bit of damage from that, which meant I was just nursing the car home basically from then on. I lost about a second of pace, and yeah, and had some really good battles up and down the field, and yeah, I was just nursing the car home and really happy with a second place then.
Yeah, I was going to ask how you managed to get through that first lap incident up at the top of Eau Rouge going into Radion, but I guess you spelled it all out there. But I mean, it's certainly you may have gotten a lot of damage, but you made out a lot better than a lot of your other competitors as you made your way very quickly up through the rest of the Pro-Am field. All right, so anybody you'd like to thank tonight? Thomas.
Well, I absolutely have to thank the guys, both teams of Vulture. So Stephen Martinez, Eric Kalaga, and Michael Kalaga. Those guys are absolute lads. Well done to Steve for getting the win, and Eric as well for second in AM. Good job to them. Thank you for everyone coming out and watching. Thank you to you guys as well for broadcasting. Thank you to all the admins. I'm just thinking off the top of my head: Harry Wills, Taylor Lane, Dean Timms. Massive thanks to those guys for putting it on, and thanks to friends and family and my girlfriend for coming out and watching.
All right, there you go. Thomas Fisher and the Vulture Motorsports machine finishing second tonight in the Pro-Am category. Tell you what, why don't we bring in John Cooper, who finished just ahead of him, driver of the number 18 Lamborghini, took the win tonight in Pro-Am. Dan, over to you.
Thank you very much, John. Can you hear me?
I can, brother.
There we go. Well, first off, congratulations on the win in Pro-Am. I mean, first off, how was that for you?
I'll just say it was lovely. I had a blast. Another wild race. I don't feel so bad about my finish at Daytona, and come out here with another yellow. Maybe a bit of luck, and feeling great.
Good stuff indeed. That is what we like to hear. I'm sure this is obviously giving you a very, very big confidence boost. I mean, going forward into the next round at Glen, is anything going to really change, or is it going to be very much the same as before? Just sort of like, same amount of practice, same style of practice. Are we going to do anything different at all, or is it going to be much of the same?
Actually, I think the team is going to take Watkins Glen a bit differently with this week, with all the new changes to the tires and the cars. We kind of took it easy, to put it lightly, and just kind of, took a nice, comfortable setup and went with it. I think next week we'll have a lot more, information moving forward, and a little bit more opportunity to fine tune and work a little harder, actually.
Well, fantastic stuff. And we very much look forward to seeing you actually next round as well. And obviously, hopefully, we'll be able to chat with you more so in similar circumstances. Quick one, John, before we do let you go, anyone you would like to give a quick shout out to on the broadcast?
Absolutely. Teammate Sammy Lackey, the other half of Turnburn Moto. We keep it loose, we keep it fun, and we get the job done.
I like that. I really like that. That's a very, very good said. Fantastic stuff. Well, John, like I said, absolute pleasure. Congratulations again. And we look forward to catching up with you hopefully, as I said, in similar circumstances next week.
Thank you, guys. Great work.
All right, there you go. That was John Cooper, driver of the Turnburn Moto entry, taking the win tonight in the Pro-Am. And if he doesn't have a future in virtual racing, Daniel, he's got a future as a poet laureate. All right, so let's bring in just because I think we've got to find out how married life is. Let's bring in Matthew Alvis, driver of the number 87 entry, the 87 AM entry for BRM Racing, finished 9th tonight. But Matthew, first off, great run tonight, and I wanted to ask you: is this how every newlywed spends their honeymoon?
For me, yes.
Well, first off, congratulations, I should say. There we go. And we're showing a clip of your car right now with the just married rear license plate frame there. So very nice. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your race tonight?
Well, it started off a little bit slow. Made up a couple of places once we did get going, because the AM class didn't actually get going to the green before the caution came out, actually. So it was a bit slow, getting a bit bored behind the safety car, and then we got going, and I was going really, really well. Did the first couple of stints, and then I underfueled myself at the final stop, so I had to come in for a splash to make the last lap, otherwise I'd have finished in 4th place, so...
Oh, that's unfortunate. It's actually something that Daniel and I were talking about just in the very last lap. We were wondering how many drivers might get caught out, might have underfilled there, and perhaps the fuel saving during the last stint might not have been enough. But all right, so Daniel, Matthew, anybody you'd like to thank and to give a shout out to tonight?
Obviously my new wife, Sian, would be good. She'll be happy happy that I remembered her. Everybody at BRM Racing, those guys are amazing. They're like family to me. Thank you to Harry, obviously, for organising this league. It's brilliant, and you guys for doing such a great broadcast.
Thank you very much. All right, everybody, that was Matthew Alvis, driver of the number 87 machine in the AM category and newlywed. There you go. Thanks so much for joining us, Matthew.
Thank you.
All right, so now let's bring in our winner in the AM category, and that is the number 53 of Stephen Martinez. Over to you, Daniel.
And there we go. Stephen, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Brilliant stuff. Well, Stephen, congratulations. A pleasure to have watched you guys and to watch everyone race. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Again, just sort of talk us through it from your perspective. The safety car obviously very early on threw a bit of spanner in the works, I think. But even that coming out on top with a relatively sizable gap of 5.5 seconds. Talk us through it.
So yeah, after the caution came out and then the restart got kind of hairy there. I think I went under a car on the Campbell straight, so I was on edge. But I basically had to basically pass everybody. And then I got worried because Eric Kulaga, he pitted before me, so he undercut. So I thought I'd made a huge mistake, but I just kept staying behind cars and then just taking the passes where they were. E-Roll gave me a good battle, so did Don, and I just kept working my way through the field trying to stay clean. And it seemed to work out. The tires held up. I love the new tire model, obviously, so it was a great win for us. And
Good
the finish
stuff.
1-2 was for the team is great.
Yes, 100%, absolutely 100%. As you say, when you've got, having that sort of teammate 1-2 is always very, very helpful. I think as well, like when you're going into team practicing, like do you practice, quite heavily as a team? How much do you actually put time into practicing with a track like this? Was this any different to what you would normally practice? Did you have to put a bit more time in than you initially thought?
Typically, what we do is first try to get our pace, get the car underneath us, figure out what works for everybody. Myself, Eric, Michael Kulaga, even Thomas Fisher, we share setups and kind of tweak them the way we need them. But I guess the key for us is just we run full stints. We don't try to do hot laps, even if the car feels like junk. It's always going to feel like junk in the race too. So we do a lot of pack driving, and then we hit the practices here. But doing the 24 right before this really helped us out. We had a good run there as well. So we're just kind of familiar, same car we ran. So it just it all worked out.
Good stuff indeed. Good stuff. Well, again, congratulations on that race win. And before we do let you go, Stephen, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to on the broadcast?
My family, who puts up with me screaming and hollering while I'm in here doing my thing, and then my teammates, Mike, Eric, and Thomas, Errol, and Don, everybody that I raced around. It's probably the best racecraft that I get around in the series, so that's why I love coming back here. And to Harry as well, you guys love the broadcast. I love to watch them after.
Brilliant stuff. Absolutely fantastic. A pleasure as always, Stephen, and we look forward to catching up with you similar time next week.
Sounds great. All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. Steven Martinez, driver of the number 53 Vulture Motorsports machine. He was your winner tonight in the AM category. Let's bring in the runner-up in the AM category. Their number 66 entry, and I believe his teammate, Eric Kulaga. Eric.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Very, very good. Congratulations on your second place finish tonight. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the race? And, obviously, the AM category, I think, as Steven mentioned, you might have already had the yellow flag come out as you were before you even got up to Eau Rouge. But why don't you tell us a little bit about that start and essentially how you had to, what kind of mindset you had to drop into there, knowing that you were going full course caution so soon?
Basically, on the start, I was prepared to just come to a complete stop for a giant mess and go from there. It was a pretty smooth race, though. It was pretty clean after that caution, and I tried an undercut, and then I messed it up with a terrible stint on my second pit stop. But Steve was fast, man, and we got a 1-2 for Vulture, so we're very stoked, man. It was an awesome race for us.
Oh, excellent. All right, so with Watkins Glen coming up just a week from now, what kind of strategy, obviously, given the finish tonight, you're going to be starting towards the back of the AM category. What's going to be your strategy going into Watkins Glen?
Same as this one, same as the last one. I started back at Daytona, finished second. So we just got to get clean, just keep a clean car and keep moving forward and let mostly pit stop strategy, trying to get in clean air, not hassle with people. That's kind of the game I play.
All right, there we go. Everybody, that is Eric Kulaga finishing second tonight in the AM category. And, of course, we'll see him next week at Watkins Glen. All right, thank you very much for joining us, Eric. Before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank?
Oh, it's my wife's birthday today. And behind every great accomplishment by a man, there's a woman rolling her eyes thinking it's the dumbest thing he does.
And what's your wife's name so we can
Laura.
Very good. Well, congratulations and happy birthday to your wife. Thanks so much for joining us, Eric, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys, and thank you for all the broadcasts, man. You guys do top job, man. Real pro stuff. Much appreciated.
Thank you so much. All right, everybody. That was Eric Kulaga, driver of the number 66 Vulture Motorsports entry. And so let us now drop over and I guess last but not least, let's bring in our winner tonight, PJ Sturgios, driver of the number 57 BMW. PJ, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Excellent. All right. Well, first off, congratulations on your win tonight. And I guess we have to start off with, the run that you made, before the full course caution came out and immediately after we went back to green flag racing. As you finished second at Daytona a couple of weeks ago after what must have been a very disappointing finish there, giving up the lead, toward right on the very last lap. But here you just seemed absolutely determined to work your way up to the front of the field as quickly as possible. Why don't you tell us about those opening laps?
Yeah, that restart was a little wild, and I guess all my years of short track racing experience kind of paid off on that one. In short tracks, you got to be on it on the restarts, and I tried to make sure I got the most out of it on that one. So thankfully, it played out in my favor. A lot of fun out there today, though. That was a tough battle there. And, yeah, excuse me. I've also been dealing with COVID this week, so that makes it even more fun. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that could be worse, but it's funny how it doesn't really affect you once you're there leading the race. Only now that the race is over.
I was going to say, although having a 75-minute race and keep it, being able to keep focus and keep the energy up for an extended period of time, I'm sure it's, not easy, on your best nights, but it's certainly got to be difficult given the current condition. So here's the next thing, and I was thinking about. The last 2 weeks, we've noticed, at least on the very first pit stops, where for the first pit cycles, that seemingly all of the pro drivers, they're waiting for that first car to drop into the pits and just basically end up following along, and everybody ends up taking that first pit stop together. Since I believe you were in the lead at the time, how did you determine, and what was your strategy in determining when you went in for that very first pit stop?
Where I was leading there for a while, I wasn't able to save the kind of fuel that I needed to, so I wasn't really left with much of a choice to stretch that extra lap. So from there, I kind of had to get a little creative, and I was like, well, let's short fuel here and try to get in clean air and see what we can do. And thankfully, it kind of played out in my favor. So the strategy has kind of been on point. I guess I gotta thank Joel Real Timing for that. I finally started using that app after running out of gas way too many times over the years while running well in racing. So it was a nice little investment there. Handy little app to have instead of having to run numbers in your head when you're driving. So
Yeah, when you're doing 140 miles an hour, that can't be the easiest thing to do.
No, I did. Yeah, not at all. So yeah, thankfully that app, and chatting with Justin over the radio, trying to figure out what kind of strategy we wanted to play. So we both decided to do the short fuel there and just try to hope for the hammer down that second stint. And thankfully it played out in our favor this time.
Excellent. All right, so PJ, as we're starting to wrap things up here, anybody you'd like to thank this evening?
Thanks to all the guys over at NX Racing. They've kind of helped quite a bit with getting me pointed in the right direction with setups and everything. And thanks to SimuCube, they got me hooked up with one of their steering wheels last year. And wow, this thing is definitely adds to the immersion experience. It's nice. It's my arms are a little worn out after a race like that, but that's part of the fun of it. So. Thanks to all those guys. A lot of fun, and looking forward to next week at Watkins Glen.
All right, excellent. And so there we go. PJ Sturgis, congratulations once again on the win this evening. And as you just mentioned, we're going to see you next week at Watkins Glen International. Best of luck to you. And obviously the big thing here, take care of your health. We want to see you in tip-top condition, although I'll bet you a lot of your competitors are I'll bet you they're going to be very surprised when they hear that that you drove in that condition tonight. But best of health to you, and we will see you next week.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg.
All right, thanks, PJ. All right, everybody, that was PJ Sturgis, driver of the number 57 Inex Racing BMW, our winner tonight here at Spa-Francorchamps. And so as we're getting ready to wrap things up here from Spa and we get ready, I think we've mentioned it a couple of times already, we are going to be at Watkins Glen next week for round number 3. And the following week, we then head on to Silverstone for round number 4 of the Transatlantic Championship here. As we are wrapping things up, I want to, of course, thank our great title sponsors, Race Anywhere. They are also sponsoring the Driver Championship with their great inventory and great product selection of sim rigs, from Pro Sim Rig, rig accessories, wheels, pedal sets, you name it. Find out more about them by going to raceanywhere.co.uk. And then also the team championship sponsor, that is Sim3D. They offer products and include shipping with all of their products, button boxes, immersion kits, paddle shifter replacements, you name it. You can find out more about them by going to sim-3d.co.uk. And of course, if you want to find out more about the Race Anywhere Transatlantic Championship, please head over to www.worldseriesleagues.co.uk. You can find out about about the series itself, where we're going, all of our drivers, you name it, and most importantly, the points championship as well. So again, that is www.worldseriesleagues.co.uk. And so for Daniel Hanover, I am Greg Ginsburg. We will see you next Wednesday night, 8:20 p.m. Eastern from Watkins Glen International. We'll see you then.